Okay, boys and girls, we have a 1992 Honda Accord wagon here, and we're gonna install a stereo in this hot rod of a early 90s, and found that the wire that's supposed to have a constant hot on it, which is this one right here, it's white, excuse me, this one right here, white with a yellow stripe on it. It's constant power, and there's also one that goes up to the clock. But we couldn't find what was going on. Checked all the fuses on the driver's side kick panel and the fuses under the hood, and couldn't come up with what was causing the no power there. So and fuses under the hood here, one of them even being marked radio, and you can see it right there, 7.5 amps. Replaced it, added a couple of new fuses. It was blowing, which is this 7.5 right here, and there's a couple more. Some of the information on the internet's difficult to understand, but anyways, between that one and the fuse panel over here in the driver's side kick panel area, this had an aftermarket alarm on it. I thought maybe somebody got into a wire on that or something, but wasn't able to come up with anything good. And so these are the ECMs that are located right here on the passenger side floorboard, and that's underneath a cover that looks like this. Anyways, found that there was a factory splice that went from one wire, this white with a yellow stripe here. I repaired it with a couple of butt connectors or shrink tube, yellow wire, and then back to 3 white wires with a yellow stripe. And the factory connections on these look similar to this blue cover right here. But in the situation, we found this here burned up. What happens is there's solder connection inside, and a little bit of moisture eventually creates a little corrosion. Then we end up with a poor connection, which creates resistance and creates heat, and the heat causes damage. Well, we ended up with additional damage here in the rest of the wiring harness out of that heat to a few more wires here, you can see. And I gotta do some more repairing of some of these wires that are broken, and insulation's been pulled away on them, all due to a couple of connections from the factory absorbing a little water on the floor and creating an issue. So these wire connections are supposed to take and have power on yellow with the white with the yellow stripe on a couple of the connectors to the ECM, this being one of them, and then there being one over here as well on the these 2 ECMs that are located on the floorboard here. And it also travels up the wiring harness to the back, which ends up over here. There's another set of connections. I'll throw it in there a little bit, way in the back, and that didn't even have connection or power to it. There was a few more brake light switches over on the other side that had the same wire configuration, but looking at a few schematics online, I was able to see that there was some power over to the ECM, and that made me start to wonder, well, are we actually seeing voltage there? And that's when I decided to start looking into this wiring harness, because I wasn't able to find current on these connectors. And just a handy dandy little test light, does the job. A couple of fuses. So if you guys ever get any problems with no constant power on the stereo or no clock, come looking around here if you've replaced the fuses under the hood and you still aren't getting any luck. Best of luck to everybody, and happy trails.